Blah, y'all already know what it is. Your boy Yaakov, what it do? The outlet to reality, the holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago. This is the place where you want to hide from your drama, or maybe you're trying to just find a place to have a good time. And I want to thank my fans for listening, sharing, and commenting and subscribing. Cha-ching! This is and today I have a new co-host with me, Chino from his podcast. Let's talk about you. Fortunately, Hamid couldn't make it, but it's okay. But
They're tired of seeing me, man. They're tired of seeing me.
yeah,
Fourth time on the show.
yeah, probably. But today we actually have a special guest. I'm very happy to call her my mentor. She is a two times Emmy Award winning journalist, and she works for NBC. Give it up for Natalie Martinez. Woo!
Hey,
Yeah.
hi. Good morning.
Good
Morning.
morning.
So, real quick before we get started, I want to, let our fans know how me and Natalie Martinez met. It was actually back in 2014. She came for, she was speaking at the podium for Northeastern Illinois University. And I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous after she was, giving her speech because I've never actually met a news reporter live or like someone famous. So I was just like, I was real nervous. I didn't know how to go up to her after and meet and greet. So I went up there, I was sweating, my heart was beating, boom, boom, boom. And I was like, please don't mess up, say something right. So I go up to her, I said, my name is David Montalvo. Nice to meet you. And right away, we were talking for a bit. I know she had like about at least 30, 50 people going up to her. But I was like, you know what? I have a TV show that's going to make you laugh the whole night. It's called Take One, Pass It Back. And interesting enough, Natalie Martinez is like, all right, here's my business card. Send it to me. I want to laugh. I said, perfect. So I get home and I message my professor. I'm like, Professor, I got this news reporter, Natalie Martinez from NBC. I don't know what to email. Like, I need help. And so my professor, he's like, I got you. This is a great practice. He's like, make sure, you introduce yourself, tell her how you met, and then at the very end, send her your link. And I did exactly like, made it nice and professional. And right away, Natalie responded that same day. It was awesome because I'm like, man, she probably gets like maybe 100 or 500 emails. So I got to hurry up. And so when she responded back, it was so nice because she saw the video, gave me a lot of nice feedback. And ever since then, we kept in touch. And so, yeah, we're going to talk more about you, Natalie Martinez. So I'm happy. It's an honor that you're here. Tell us a little bit about your background and what neighborhood you grew up in.
Well, um, first of all, thanks for that introduction. I remember meeting you, and I remember thinking that you had something special and you were really eager to get something started. And to me, that resonated right away. And I also can appreciate when you have, no experience or no background and you're a student, you need somebody to take some interest and help guide you if that's what you need. I love that your professor also chimed in on how to get that over to me. And yes, it is important to respond to those. I do get several hundred emails a day, but I make sure to nurture up and comers. I've been in this game for almost 3 decades, over two. And, it's changed so much. And especially with the advent or the inclusion, I should say, of social media and all these podcasts. And I'm so happy that you're able to do this now too. But that has always been important to me because I had a couple mentors who also took interest and saw something in me that they helped me grow, like yourself. And there's nothing better than seeing somebody like yourself who had this idea and started with something small and now has something they really can call their own. Now you've got guests on your show. You're doing a great job. You're getting great input. You're giving good information. I watched some of your podcasts, obviously. They're fun and engaging, and I walk away with something. So hopefully we can do that again today. As far as I go, it seems a lot of people think I'm from Chicago. I really, this is home. I moved my Brazilian husband here. Well, he moved here and we got married after 12 years. I have my toddler in the other room. Excuse me. I moved my sister. She graduated from Duke Law School and she moved here. She's now practicing law here. She's 10 years younger than me. And so truly it's home, and I've been here for 20 plus years. But home is in upstate New York. And Chicago. And coincidentally, my mom, who is in upstate New York now, is moving here this week during the pandemic because she has a 2-year-old granddaughter that she never sees, and it's more important to have family close by. So truly, I didn't grow up. My seeds aren't in Chicago, but my tree is planted here for sure.
Wow. Oh, it's a beautiful story. I mean, that's great. Your mom is coming close because
I can't wait.
right, and she can't wait to see, her
Yes.
grandkids. So this is a blessing. Like who wouldn't want to see that? That's great. That's great. So, Chino, any question for Natalie?
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks
My
for
name's,
coming on today.
No, thank you. And thanks for David for having me back again, man. It's always fun. Name's Jose, but if you heard him, everyone calls me Chino. So feel free to call me Chino if you like. So I guess the first question I actually had for you was, who were your mentors? You kind of beat me to the punch a little bit, but you mentioned having some mentors. What role did they play in your life when you were growing up and seeing what you wanted to do?
Well, if we're going way back before, in my life there were, aunts and that's part of being in a we have an immigrant family. So my mom moved from Ukraine when she was 3. My dad moved from Dominican Republic when he was 9, with their families, of course. And they met in New York City. There was a big melting pot story. Excuse me. And so, family is super important. But when people from outside the family come in as those mentors that I think you're referring to, it's such a blessing, because you think, why does this person have interest in me, but I'm going to hold on to it and run, because you need support, right? I mean, it sounds cliche, but it does take a village to help young people succeed. So what they meant to me it was pretty much everything. I remember when I was interning at one of the TV stations, I had 3 internships. Apparently that was against the law because I don't know.
I couldn't even get one.
One of the news directors found out and said, Natalie, you have an internship at CBS and NBC. And I said, yeah, I'm getting as much information as I can. I don't know how I did it. I'm not sure how I bypassed whatever, security I was supposed to be watching. I had no idea you couldn't do that. I thought, just get more information. This guy does it this way. This guy does it that way. But apparently it was, those were the rules. You weren't supposed to. It wasn't written down anywhere, but this was a million years ago. So they said, you'll have to pick one. So what I did is I picked the one where I had the most need. So I went with the ABC affiliate that it was in Buffalo, New York, where I went to school, and I stayed with them because, one, I was a glorified intern. They let me go out and do some stories. When a reporter couldn't get something, they said, Natalie, can you go get this interview real quick? I wasn't going to be on, but I could actually go through the physical portion of what I had been learning in school, and that was to interview people, engage with them, which is still my favorite part of doing news. I'm really old school, and so I really love that part. I had a woman there who I guess I could say her name, Susan Banks. She was kind of legendary there, but I was doing some research for her, and she, at the end of I don't know if this is payola or not, but she gave me $100 check, and I went. But I mean, this was after months of work. To me, that was like, I just got paid for doing something that I really love to do. And internships weren't paid at the time, and maybe she was thinking that, I don't know. But I held on to that, and I spent it, I was so careful with how I spend it. I got myself an interview jacket and I think gas to get everywhere. And I bought myself some tapes. We would send out tapes at the time. So those were big and clunky. And I used it also for postage and stuff like that. But I'll never forget that I knew at that moment I was worth something to her. So coincidentally, when I left that internship, I left as a medical producer, and I had been setting up interviews and doing research. And after I left, one of the reporters there said, do you know that we had to hire somebody for your job after that? So one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from somebody, I think I was doing then, but didn't know what it was. And that is advice I give to other students that I speak to and people who want to get into the business. I say, find a hole and fill it, really. So where there's a need, I found this job there, and I got the most glowing recommendations because they said, I was doing something that was worth something to them, right? I mean, we can't be wasting our time, spinning our wheels if we want to be hired by someone. But if you want to create your own thing, that's also filling a hole, right? You've filled a hole for people who want a creative outlet to reality, right? You want to talk to people about a bunch of different things, politics, journalism, what we're talking about today. So, so mentors and mentees who take advantage of them are everything. And one of the things, I'm not sure if I told you, I did tell you, David, I remember, because that's part of the reason we got you there, is take advantage of those things that are out there. And when people like myself, I was president of NAHJ, National Association of Hispanic Journalists, for a couple of years, and I was on the board for a couple of years, and always part of it because it was so pivotal in helping getting me into the business. They have these huge national conventions where you can meet the news directors from all the different stations across the nation. So I mean, that's invaluable, because to get in front of a news director at any one station, as you know, David, is so hard. Here, you're just, you parade yourself in front of them, give them your tape, chew on their ear, ask them questions. How do I do this? What makes me better at that? And really use what you learned. And so as a student, I remember taking advantage of everything that I could, I should say. But as students now, there's so much more available. So I always try and encourage people to go after it. Go after the free stuff. Go after those scholarships. Help, and advice and kindness is free, right? So I would say take advantage of it. People put it out in the universe in order for it to be taken in, right?
Yeah. And I was gonna share some real quick. For my fans out there, actually there was one day that Natalie Martinez, we had like a little coffee, and it was like right after my school, and for her after work, and we're sitting down, and she told me about NAHJ, which Natalie Martinez was part of, and she told me, look, David, there's going to be another event coming up. It's going to be in DC, and if you're interested, I could probably make a way for you to go. I said, for real? I've never been to DC. So I thought about it. It's like, man, this is cool. This is like where the White House is. I've never been there, in this whole city. So next, Natalie hits me up. She's like, are you still interested? Because I got a seat ready for you. The best part I'll never forget, and I'm still thankful and grateful, is that you gave me the opportunity not only to get there, like I was able to get like an admission, like to join, and you bought me a one-way ticket round trip to go there and come back. And I was like, man, she has a big heart. She didn't have to do that. But I never forgot that. And I was like, man, I'm going to cherish this. And to be honest, I didn't get to tell you this, Natalie, but when I got there, you're not going to believe this. I actually stayed with two of my cousins that I've never met in my life from Mexico.
Wonderful.
And the crazy part, when I opened the door, the guy that opens it looks just like my dad. And I thought it was my dad. I was going to go like, Dad. But then I find out it's my cousin. So I was like, oh, man, you guys look more alike than me. He had the suit and tie, because my dad always wears suit and tie, comb hair, like nice, broad shoulders. I was like, that's my dad. And the only thing that threw it away was his voice. His voice was a little, like squeaky, but it wasn't deep like my dad. So I'm like, you're not my dad. But it was so nice because this is crazy. My cousin, so he works for like a big company back in DC, but his sister actually at one point worked for the House of Representatives, and her husband worked for Congress. So that was the craziest thing. Two different buildings, but they, they're together. And it was the coolest thing. And they actually coached me. They're like, all right, man, we got to prepare you for these interviews because you're going to this convention. You're going to be meeting different people at different tables. They gave me the best advice. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So they told me, I want you either to be the first person to go there early before everyone and say hi to everyone. Hey, here's my business card, this and that. Because they said in presentations, interviews, they only remember the first one that goes up or the last one. They never forget. They don't remember the middle one. So you got to stand out. And to be honest, check this out. I did their technique. I went there super early, like at least 2 hours early. I was like, I got to listen to my cousins or else they're going to get mad at me. So I get there 2 hours early. I'm like, all right, I got this, I'm warming up. Pop, pop, pop. So here's the nice thing they taught me as well. After I met with them, they gave me their business card and where they worked at. I actually sent them a thank you card when I flew back. They received a thank you card, and all I said, thank you so much for your time. It was really nice meeting you. I had a great time, and thank you for your sage wisdom. Really nice and short. They actually got back to me and said, we would like to see you again. Like, it was really useful. So thank you again. I feel like, you really opened the doors. I'm not going to lie.
What a beautiful, beautiful thing to tell me. And what a beautiful ending to that visit. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
To take off. Oh, sorry. Jose,
no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm with your cousins 100% on that. That's all I'll say because when I got to NBC and I had gone back to NHJ several years later, I ran into the woman who was kind of coordinating, if you remember at the tables, she was coordinating what was going on at all the NBC affiliates. And she had kind of told, the visitors, you can go see this news director, that one, this one, that one. And she goes, I remember you. You were always the first one in line. Exactly what your cousins had said, David. It was given back to me. So they are absolutely correct in that. And that was part of what helped get me hired with this company. Sorry.
Wow, that's
awesome.
pretty cool. That's pretty cool right there.
Yeah. I actually heard that story already because I had David on my podcast and I asked him, to tell his story of, his growing up and his passions and all that. And he mentions you because I asked him about his mentors and he mentions you and he tells me that story. And I told him, David, like that's a blessing right there for someone to invest in you, to be like, hey, I'm giving you the opportunity. Now take it. And he took it. And I give him props for that as well. And as well as you for doing that.
Same here. I do. I think that was excellent, David. And like I said, I could see that. I could see that in you. Maybe I saw a little bit of myself. I don't know. But it doesn't hurt. And if you have the means to kind of pay it forward, I thought about that $100 that she gave me. And that's like you said, David, you just never forget that kind of stuff. And it encourages you to kind of make moves that are good for others, not just yourself, right? And you take that, kind of across the board.
Wow.
Bravo.
Thank you. Yo, no, this is really good. Really good. I was gonna ask you another question too, Natalie. So I see in the behind you have two Emmy awards. I'm very curious on how you got it. How did it happen? Did they send you a card? Like, what was the process for you to get it?
Were you on Law
I,
and Order?
and what?
I said, were you in Law and Order?
That's funny. I put those there for you guys because you told me, and when you had asked me to come on, talking about Emmys, it struck me as, first of all, I understand people are into them. They're nice to look at. We watch Emmy award shows, for different shows like Law and Order, and also, for our newscasts and things like this. But when you go into a story, you never think, oh, this is what's going to win me an Emmy. Because typically, one of them, I think, is for NATO. One of them is for tornado coverage. And when you go in, that's the last thing I'm probably thinking of. I have a stack of Emmy nominations that I do save. I guess someday I might look at them. You don't win every one you get nominated for. It's always a blessing and a pleasure to get that in the mail, and that is how it happens. You get your nomination in the mail. So you can nominate yourself for Emmys. I think you can put it in. You pay a fee for them to consider it, but typically you're nominated, and you're told that you got nominated. Yeah. It's exciting because you get it and you think, oh, I didn't even realize I was, appreciated for this work, or I thought it would have been something else. I don't know. It's a nice surprise, I guess. Sometimes you think you put a lot of work into something, and you think, oh, this one, as far as I'm concerned, took a lot more work and a lot more dedication and digging. But this one, for example, the coverage on the tornado was something that resonated with the judges, I guess. So, and they try and take judges from all over the region, so that obviously it's not my own peers who I work with at NBC or ABC or CBS here, but others. And I've been a judge myself before for different things, and you really kind of look at it as an outsider, and kind of take a look at how the story was presented, and if everybody was included that could be, and if you kind of reached out to the different sources that you could. It's interesting. I'm sort of going off to the side a little bit, but even with the story I did last night, so we were covering Kyle Rittenhouse, who's the teenager, with the shooting in Kenosha with the two protesters following the Jacob Blake protests in August. So he yesterday was bailed out. He was released. Kenosha County Sheriff Office confirmed that, and it was a $2 million bond. So the money that came into the attorney's office apparently was from an actor, Ricky Schroeder, and you guys might be too young
Silver
to know.
spoons.
Okay. You guys, and I'm thinking back to the Little Lord Fauntleroy. Anyway, long story short, it was an actor and the My Pillow CEO. And so they came up with all this money, and obviously the internet was upset with it. Ricky took himself off of Twitter for a while, went to Parler, which I'm not terribly familiar with. But the point is that when I was going to do the story, I had done all this research. We went to the sheriff's office for information. We went everywhere that I thought was, it was somewhere I thought I would have to go in to make sure that this information was correct, that it was truthful. That's all we do. We search the truth, right? That's the basis of what we do. We're looking for the truth. And my boss, about 8:30, he said, well, do we know that tweet was really from him? And I said, well, I did all that background. I looked at it. He's got 500,000 plus followers. He had, all these pictures and case information. I said, yeah, it was the attorney. And then I started to question myself, because now we do so much of that. You really have to question everything, because for whatever reason, while we're out there trying to dig up and uncover truths, people are trying to, there are some people out there who have a lot of time right now who want to put some, false or inaccurate information out there to see if people like myself, reporters, will jump on it. So I thought, oh my God, somebody would have to have an unhealthy relationship with the information in this story to go this far and to backpedal and somehow create fake tweets for years and gain followers or somehow hack in to give themselves all these followers. But I said, it has been done before, or we wouldn't have to be so careful about it. So there are those things that I find when we're trying to tell a story, there's so many, offshoots. There's so many different places where we have to make sure we're constantly on the up and up, and that you are 100% correct, or as close as you can get to that, humanly possible, before you can tell a story. It's not just telling what you see anymore, because what you see isn't always as it appears, right? You can fake so much, I guess, on social media, and people will throw that stuff at us. I mean, even with like weather pictures, people either they want to see their fake pictures up there or something with their name. I don't know, right. Excuse me, Willis Tower got struck by lightning, and they'll send this picture that's actually beautiful, and then we'll go, wait a minute, that doesn't match up, or there's just so much. You have to really bend over backwards now to make sure that what you put out there is correct, because the last thing you want to do is put out false information. Not because we're afraid to correct it, but because people only have so much time in the day to get information, so you got to put the right stuff out there, right?
Right. And with this whole pandemic, has it changed the news, like for NBC?
Yeah. I would say in that way in particular, I mean, besides the obvious of doing, digital interviews all the time, trying to stay away to protect myself, my photographer, it feels a lot more impersonal, but obviously technology has always been there. Facebook has been there, Zoom has been there. Now we're just using it more, right? I mean, look at us today. I feel like I'm with you, but we're not really here. I'm not really feeling your vibe, but we're getting better at it, right? So it's changed in that most obvious way, but also in this way that you have to really go and double and triple check where your source is coming from. Because now I could log in, I can go on my Zoom, I can get your ID meeting, I can get your passcode, and I can put my name underneath as somebody else. And here you are, David, introducing somebody that says they're Natalie Martinez. She's, got the passcode, she's got the meeting ID and the name underneath, but is it really her? There's those elements that you really are much more time consuming. Whereas this interview here saves time in us physically seeing each other. We spend it in other ways.
That's very
That's in my experience.
Oh man. And Chino, any last question?
Yeah, this is a fun one for the fans, okay?
All right.
Grew up in New York, living in Chicago. The question everybody wants to know: New York style pizza or Chicago pizza?
Oh, that's a tough one.
So
we need to know.
This is do I see now? The journalist in me says I'm not supposed to answer this one way or another because I'm right down the middle, right? However, because this is a personal question and this is for fun, I will say that my husband and I, our splurge meal is Lou Malnati's deep dish on Sundays.
Yes, and it's actually funny because I like Illuminati's a lot more than Giordano's.
Oh yeah.
I love Chicago style pizza in general, and it takes so much less. I love my New York pizza. I love to bend it in half, but we're just totally sold. They know us by name.
Hey, Natalie, back again.
Yeah. You want wings too?
You too?
Yeah, I love the wings. I always get wings like extra. I just can't help it. It's just I just want to dip the ranch. Like I just
Awesome. You got the right answer. You got the right answer.
yeah, we got what
I
And you
was reading
too, Jose?
personally. I mean, I've never been to New York, so I don't know, but I love Chicago style pizza. My favorite is actually Pequod's here in Chicago by Northeast Airborne.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Favorite.
Lincoln Park area.
Yeah.
Yep.
Delicious. But I was also reading a little bit about you, and I had a question as I saw you were very involved in the story with Rod Blagojevich. How was that like when all that was going on? Was it like constantly like running back and forth
He's
trying to get
such
as
a
much information?
always, always. And that's one of the best things about our job is that your day flies by when you have a story like this. But really, that went on for so long that journalists, but we collectively really got to know him and Patty and the girls and everything. And he was always a dynamic personality. We know that he's taken that with him throughout, even while he was locked up. But really, getting to know him and sharing what we got to know about him was really just as interesting as the trial itself, right? For me, and to also share, people want to know what happened when he got home, what happened. And, he'd do the jogging thing and he'd come back out and then we'd see him locked up and then his hair started to go gray. I mean, all those things were interesting to people and they were asking, the same questions and so whenever viewers start to ask questions, we know that's the way we should start to follow. There's always the basics of the trial that were being covered, but there's also those stories that make him and us human. You have that natural interest, and even just the way that you posed the question, what was that like? That's what we tried to share as we went along. There was just so many people. I remember freezing cold days outside the house and just waiting for him to do anything so that we could share with you. Here's what he did today at this time. But there are a lot of times when they're just, there was nothing to report, but you would be out there, chewing on what happened, on another element of the story. It was fascinating to follow that trial, to follow him, and to from start to finish, straight through the end. And even today, he's got a lot to say about things, and I don't think he's ever lost that that appeal. Whether you like him or not, there is still kind of an appeal, right?
Because there's definitely interest.
Right. I would say so.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Well, real quick, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up. Let me just say real quick, the Outlet to Reality, the hardest podcast in Vegas and Chicago every Tuesday. And thank you again, Natalie Martinez, for coming. Chino from Let's Talk About You podcast, great show ever. And Natalie, real quick, do you want to share where our fans can find you if they have any questions?
Yeah, well, there's always at Natalie Martinez NBC or NBC Natalie on any one of my, on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. I love to, interact with people, whether it be Twitter is a little bit harder. I think Twitter is getting people are a little bit more angry. But if you really have questions and you want to interact, and even send videos, share stories, or ask me to go chase something down, I would love to. I just think social media is really so helpful for us in a lot of ways. It can be very hurtful and painful, but we know that a lot of people just have a place to sometimes misdirect their anger. We get it. People are angry about stuff, but there are also a lot of people who have a lot of good stuff going on, and I would love to be able to tell those stories too. Please share them with us. NBC Natalie or NBC Natalie Martinez NBC on Facebook is good too.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Natalie.